Incredibly dark, yet completely true historical facts from around the world. Part 1. Shocking historical events you never knew about. The Tuskegee syphilis experiment. From 1932 to 1972, the U.S. Public Health Service conducted a study on African American men with syphilis, withholding treatment even after penicillin became available. The study was unethical and resulted in the deaths of many participants. The Rwandan genocide. In 1994, the Rwandan government orchestrated a genocide against the Tutsi ethnic group, resulting in the deaths of approximately 800,000 people. The international community failed to intervene, allowing the violence to continue. The Nanking Massacre. During the Second Sino-Japanese War, Japanese soldiers committed atrocities against Chinese civilians in the city of Nanking, including rape, torture, and murder. The exact death toll is unknown, but estimates range from 40,000 to 300,000. The Armenian Genocide. From 1915 to 1923, the Ottoman Empire systematically killed approximately 1.5 million Armenians, as well as other minority groups. The Turkish government denies that a genocide occurred. The Holocaust. During World War II, Nazi Germany systematically murdered 6 million Jews, as well as other minority groups, in what is now known as the Holocaust. The genocide was carried out through concentration camps, gas chambers, and other forms of violence. Part 2. Disturbing historical facts you won't believe happened. The Comfort Women. During World War II, the Imperial Japanese Army kidnapped thousands of Korean women and forced them into sexual slavery as comfort women. Many of these women were subjected to brutal violence and died as a result. The execution of virgin women in ancient Rome. In ancient Rome, whenever a woman was executed for a crime, the executioner would rape her if she was still a virgin. Romans believed that killing a virgin woman would unleash a curse upon them. Operation Sea Spray. In the 1950s, the US government conducted a secret experiment called Operation Sea Spray, in which they dropped non-harmful bacteria in public areas in San Francisco. The experiment ended up making many people sick. The oyster shell execution of Governor Radcliffe. In ancient Virginia, Governor Radcliffe was killed by Native Americans who used oyster shells to skin him layer by layer until he died. This was likely in retaliation for Radcliffe's offenses against the tribes in the area. The Cambodian Genocide. From 1975 to 1979, the Khmer Rouge regime in Cambodia killed an estimated 1.5 to 3 million people through forced labor, starvation, and execution. The genocide was one of the worst atrocities of the 20th century. Part 3. Disturbing historical facts that won't seem real. The sacrifice of Ixion. In ancient Greece, the Minotaur, a creature that was part bull and part human, was killed in a ritualistic sacrifice. The story of the Minotaur and his death were later retold in the myth of the Minotaur. The Great Nude Mile. During the 19th century, a Great Nude Mile was established in the United States, where a series of public bathhouses were built along the Delaware River. These bathhouses were used for various purposes, including public bathing and sexual encounters. The Trial of the Popes. During the 13th century, Pope Boniface VIII and his supporters held a trial against Pope Celestine V, resulting in the latter's forced resignation. This event was known as the Trial of the Popes. The Sack of Rome. In 1527, the Holy Roman Empire, led by Charles V, invaded Rome and sacked the city, stealing art, gold, and other valuable items. The sack of Rome lasted for 2 weeks and resulted in significant damage to the city. The Crying Monk of Notre Dame. During the 13th century, a monk at Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris was known for his ability to make the statue of the Virgin Mary cry tears. The monk was eventually caught using a hidden system of pulleys and counterweights. Part 4. Disturbing historical facts too bizarre to comprehend. The Trial of Galileo Galilei. In 1633, Galileo Galilei was found guilty of heresy by the Roman Inquisition for supporting the idea that the Earth orbits the Sun. He was forced to recant his findings and spent the remainder of his life under house arrest. The Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Day. In 1572, French Protestants massacred hundreds of Catholic worshippers in the St. Bartholomew's Day Massacre. The event marked the beginning of the French Civil War and led to thousands of deaths. The Great Turkish Bath. During the 16th century, the Ottoman Sultan Murad III ordered the construction of the world's first public bathhouse, known as the Great Turkish Bath. The bathhouse was used for various purposes, including public bathing and sexual encounters. The Siege of Baghdad. In 1258, the Mongol Empire, led by Kaidu, invaded Baghdad and sacked the city, killing over 800,000 people. The event marked the end of the Abbasid Caliphate and the beginning of the decline of the Islamic Golden Age. The Siege of Jerusalem. During the First Crusade, the Kingdom of Jerusalem, led by Godfrey of Bouillon, invaded Jerusalem and besieged the city for nearly a year. The siege resulted in the death of thousands of people and the establishment of the Kingdom of Jerusalem. Part 5. Disturbing historical facts most don't know about. The Battle of Algiers. During the Algerian War, French forces used torture and extreme violence against Algerian insurgents. The Battle of Algiers in 1956 involved the use of psychological torture, including waterboarding and sleep deprivation. The Great Wall of China. The construction of the Great Wall of China, which began around 206 BC, involved the use of human laborers, including prisoners, soldiers, and even cannibals. It is estimated that over 1 million people died during its construction. The Spanish Inquisition. The Spanish Inquisition, which lasted from 1478 to 1834, was a religious and political purge targeting Jews, Muslims, and other perceived heretics. Thousands of people were tortured and killed during the Inquisition. The Great Salt War. The Great Salt War, also known as the Ceylon War, was a conflict between neighboring cities in Iran and Afghanistan over control of the Helmand River. The war involved the use of deadly chemical weapons, resulting in significant casualties on both sides. The Anabarban Cave Massacre. During the 7th century, the Sassanid Persians committed a massacre in the Anabarban Cave after capturing it from the Byzantines. The exact number of victims is unknown, but it is believed that many were killed. Part 6. Disturbing historical facts you won't forget. The Siege of Hue. During the Vietnam War, the city of Hue was besieged by the Viet Cong from January to March 1968. The siege involved the use of torture, mass executions, and the killing of innocent civilians. The Siege of Leningrad. During World War II, the city of Leningrad, now Pushkin, was besieged by the Nazis from September 1941 to January 1944. The siege involved the use of starvation, disease, and mass executions, resulting in the deaths of over 1 million people. The Massacre at Waco. In 1993, the Branch Davidians religious sect was raided by the ATF in Waco, Texas. The raid resulted in the deaths of 26 people, including women and children. The event is still controversial and has been the subject of numerous documentaries and books. Part 7. Unbelievable historical facts you can only find here. The Massacre of Kfar Qassem. In 1931, a group of Jewish militiamen killed more than 600 Palestinian Arab villagers in Kfar Qassem, Palestine. The massacre was in response to a series of attacks by Palestinian Arab militants. The event is known as the Kfar Qassem Massacre and is considered one of the darkest episodes in the history of the Yishuv, the Jewish community in Palestine at the time. The Great Dane Baby Scandal. During the Francoist regime in Spain, many single mothers were told their newborn children were dead. The babies who were not actually dead were given to married couples. This scandal, known as the Great Dane Baby Scandal, is still not fully understood today. The Struwel Peter Basque. In 16th century Spain, a series of anti-Semitic decrees were enacted, including the establishment of the Spanish Inquisition. The Inquisition led to the arrest and trial of thousands of Jews, many of whom were tortured and forced to convert to Christianity. The Australian Prime Minister who went swimming and never returned. In 1925, Australian Prime Minister Stanley Melbourne Bruce went swimming and never returned. To this day, the exact circumstances of his disappearance remain a mystery. The Portuguese slave trade. Portugal was the first European country to attack Japan and enslave Japanese people. The Portuguese slave trade in Japan was so extensive that the shogun of Japan, Tokugawa Ieyasu, threatened to declare war on Portugal. Part 8. Unbelievably strange facts from around the globe. The Czechoslovakian zombie president. In 1993, a Czechoslovakian comedian named Stefan Srager was elected as the country's president. Srager, who had a history of heart problems, died shortly after his election, leading some to believe that he had been a zombie. The Danish law on personal names. Denmark has a law in place to protect children from having unusual names. The law requires parents to seek government approval for any names that are not on a list of approved names. About 100 novel names are assessed every year, and 15% to 20% of them are rejected. The Malaysian ban on yellow clothing. In Malaysia, authorities prohibited its people from wearing yellow clothing. Yellow is typically associated with sunshine and friendship, but the ban was implemented for unspecified reasons. The Bhutanese phallic worship. In Bhutan, the male organ is considered a symbol of fertility and is believed to ward off evil spirits. The phallic worship is a unique cultural practice in the Himalayan country. The Icelandic cod liver oil controversy. Icelanders are known for their consumption of cod liver oil, which is believed to contribute to their long lifespan and good health. However, a 2012 study found that Icelandic men had the lowest sperm counts in Europe, raising questions about the health effects of cod liver oil consumption. Part 9. Bizarre facts no one talks about. The Japanese island used for animal testing. In the 19th century, a Japanese island was used for animal testing, with animals being released into the wild after being subjected to various experiments. The island, now known as the Island of Lost Dogs, is still home to stray dogs that are believed to be descendants of the animals tested on there. The Italian body donor controversy. In 1982, an Italian man named Valerio Carcana died after donating his body to medicine. His body was never returned to his family, leading to a high-profile controversy and a series of investigations into the medical establishment. The Finnish sauna culture. Finland is known for its sauna culture, with nearly every Finnish home having a sauna. The tradition is believed to promote health, relaxation, and social bonding. But it has also been the site of various accidents and even deaths. The Lithuanian suicide rates. Lithuania often ranks among the top countries by suicide rates. It's estimated that approximately 1 in 4,000 Lithuanians will take their own life. The Spanish baby theft scandal. During the Francoist regime in Spain, many single mothers were told their newborn children were dead. The babies, who were not actually dead, were given to married couples. This scandal, known as the Spanish baby theft scandal, is still not fully understood today. Did you enjoy learning about these fascinating facts? Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment for more incredible top 5 infotainment. Thanks for watching.